If you hear a three-note whistle and the night weighs heavy in the backlands, pay attention. It might be wind or a calling. Today, you will hear three legends of the backlands told by those who lived them. Listen to the elements, water, roof tile, and stone, and see how far that whistle wants to take you. Press play, turn off the lights, and come with me. Leave your like, subscribe, and tell me which one gave you the most chills.
The Whistle by the Reservoir. I was riding back on my motorcycle along the dirt road by the edge of the old reservoir. The moon looked like a crooked fingernail in the sky. My helmet vibrated on my head because of the shaking of the road, and I was already alert because I know that curve. People say it holds stories. The gas tank was almost on reserve, so I slowed down without rushing. That's when I heard it, a three-note whistle. Clean. It sounded like when you call a dog, only longer. My arms bristled instantly. I froze from my neck down to my waist. The motorcycle almost died when I let go of the throttle without noticing. At the same moment, the voice of Dona Ilda, the owner of the shop, came fresh in my head. The afternoon before, she had spoken seriously, looking straight. "Damian, if you hear a three-note whistle by the water, don't answer. Whoever answers loses the path. It's water people asking for companion." Sionofre, who was beside her, nodded and added, "My brother-in-law answered. He came back 2 days later, mute. His wife left." I thought all that in a second. The whistle repeated, a little closer. "No, no," I whispered just to myself. My fingers sweated on the handle. I pulled the motorcycle to the side of the road, and that's when I saw the boy. He was standing in the shallow edge of the reservoir, shirt stuck to his body, hair dripping on his forehead, eyes too black to be just human eyes. "Sir, I'm cold," he said softly. At that moment, my legs wanted to go. I thought of taking off my boots and going in. I felt the mud pulling just by imagining it. Dona Ilda's phrase hit me again. Water people asking for a companion. I remembered a rope I always carried tied on the back rack. I untied it, breathed, and threw the end without getting too close. "Hold on, my son. I'll pull you out." He didn't move. Not even the water moved. The whistle sounded again, but now it came from the woods behind me. I turned my head by reflex. There was no one. When I looked back to the edge of the reservoir, the boy was gone. The rope stayed stretched to nowhere, floating still, as if tied to something invisible. A pang hit my stomach and cut my breath. I wanted to scream, but no voice came out. I shifted gears clumsily and left. I didn't speed up too much because it felt like running would call the whistle inside my helmet. I left with my heart pounding in my ears. The next day, I went early to the shop. My hand trembled when I grabbed the glass of water. "I saw him," I told Dona Ilda and Sionofre. "I saw the boy. He said, 'I'm cold.'" She crossed her arms and said almost in a sigh, "Everyone sees someone who needs help when the water calls. The water knows the name of what is missing." "What do I do?" I asked, wanting a map. "Change your route and pray," says Sionofre, "and if you hear the whistle, pretend it is the wind." 3 days later, the reservoir dropped more than normal. People found a car at the bottom, old. Inside were bones, an old wallet, and a yellowed family picture. There was also a rubber ball, the kind for children. The whole town talked about it that night. I only went there the next day. I stopped on the bank without courage to go down. The ball stayed in the mud, half buried. Everything was too quiet. The boy wasn't there, of course. Only that feeling that something ancient was pulling our gaze. The caretaker of the place appeared, an old man who spoke softly with the voice of someone who has always woken up early. My father used to say, that whistle isn't evil, it's memory calling. The problem is that memory, if you dive in without thinking, drowns the living. I nodded. It made sense inside me in a way that can't be explained. I changed my route since that day. I stay far from the reservoir until today. And when someone asks me why, I answer simply, in the backlands, not every request is a request. Sometimes it's memory trying to pull you down.
The Roofless School. I am a teacher. I got the key to the unfinished chapel up on the hill in the Cruzeiro neighborhood. Bare brick. Dirt floor, a cross nailed at the back. No roof. My idea was simple, to start there with the little ones, and when possible, cover it. Next month, we'll put on the tiles, I told the group, truly believing it. On the first trial class, late afternoon, the children arrived with shining eyes, dust dancing in the beam of sunlight. I was teaching the names of letters when the wind came through the top and whistled 3 notes. The class went silent immediately. A bit of plaster fell from above like a poor man's rain. It's just wind, I said, holding both a smile and fear at the same time. The next day, there was graffiti on the gate. Don't cover, with a rough drawing of a tile crossed out. I went to Father Americo, an old man with trembling hands but sharp eyes. Father, what is this? It's a promise, my child, he answered slowly. The man who built these walls promised to put on the roof if the boy got better. The boy got better. The rain came. The man disappeared. Every time they try to roof it, the whistle circles the building and the tiles fall at night. My stomach turned to stone. I don't want to fight with wind, Father. I just want class. Promised wind doesn't tire, doesn't rest. No one pays it off, he said. Even so, I insisted. I called a work party for Saturday. Maestro Pinheiro came with his hammer and the look of someone who solves things. Mothers brought sweet bread. Fathers, a handful of tiles each. The children sang softly while we raised the beams. The whistle came early, passing through us, brushing our ears like a cold hand. Don't listen, said the maestro, hammering wood as if praying. Focus on the nail. In the middle of the afternoon, an old box fell on its own from a shelf. It burst on the floor. Inside, letters tied with old twine, greasy paper, family names from around here, small amounts. On top, stamped tile for the roof. I recognized 3 surnames. The date was very old. It smelled like a collection that never became tiles. Then came Dona Alvina. Short steps, wet eyes. I kept those letters, she confessed.
almost out of breath. The man was my husband. He received the money, said he would cover, and ran away. Died far from here. I was afraid of the town. I held her hand and said in the simplest way I could, "We solve it today, all of us together." The work party became a new promise. Whoever found old letters brought tiles. Whoever didn't have letters brought nails, cold water, wood. The children sang louder, and it seemed like the singing opened a path. The whistle tried to cover us, went up and down, circled above, but we didn't stop. When the last tile was set in place, the whistle let out a long cry as if taking a breath and went out. It rained that same week. The room stayed dry. The children clapped like it was a June festival out of season. I cried without hiding. The priest gave a small smile, like someone remembering something good. On Sunday, Donna Alvina stood in front of the school and asked for forgiveness out loud. Nobody judged. The whole neighborhood just listened and breathed together. The sound that remained after was of pencils scratching notebooks and tiles soaking up sunlight. At night, when I locked the gate, the wind passed overhead and made 2 notes, very quick, like goodbye. I understood. A promise not fulfilled becomes wind that never stops. When we pay together, the wind tires.
The Stone Road. I'm a truck driver. That Monday, I was hauling water. The sun was scorching. My brother Leandro and I had fought badly the day before over money, but truth be told, it was pride. A crossed word weighs more than a ton. The Stone Road cut through the mountain. Living rock, straight, no fence. The rear tire blew right at the point where the view disappears. Not now, I said, annoyed with myself. I put my knee on the ground, grabbed the jack, and started changing it under the heat rising from the stone. That's when I heard it. 3 notes, a short whistle, direct. Like a question, I remembered Old Man Quincus, the gravedigger, telling at the bar, "If the stone whistles 3 times, don't answer. There's a guide in the mountain. He points the way, but it's not always a good place." I thought of ignoring it and ended up hurrying with the change. The whistle came from the other side, seeming to go around me. I took a deep breath, closed the jack, wiped my hand on my pants. That's when a man appeared out of nowhere. Leather hat, clothes, too clean for all that dust. "Heavy work?" he asked, calm. "The tire beat me a little," I said, playing it cool. "Where are you headed?" "To the gate of the old cemetery, if there's room." I was going to say it was the wrong way, but something in me asked not to refuse. I opened the door. He sat beside me, neat hand on his knee. We rode in silence for a while, only the engine, and at times the whistle outside with no wind. "Do you know how to whistle that?" I asked, half joking, half serious. "I only remember the beginning. The rest, the one who owes writes." That kept echoing in my head. We arrived at the gate of the deactivated cemetery. Cut stone, sparse weeds. The man pointed with his chin to a nameless grave covered in white dust. "Read it for me." "There's nothing written," I said. "Read it anyway." I stood there, not understanding. Then I saw that the dust had finger grooves, as if someone had tried to write once. I can't explain, but my brain read a name, mine, with my father's last name. My legs buckled. "Is this a joke?" I said, swallowing hard.
"It's no joke," he answered with the same calm. "It's a warning. Pay what you owe and rest." I turned my face to ask, "Pay what?" And the cab was empty. The seat beside me was marked with the dust of someone who had just gotten up. The whistle rose behind me, stopped at the top of the tallest cross, and fell silent. I went back to the truck, trembling. There was a folded paper on the seat beside me. It was my father's handwriting, that scrawl I'd recognize anywhere. "Son, some debts are in money. They're requests for forgiveness. Deliver the water to Leandro today, then come back." I did. I drove the best I could, with my heart pounding in my ears. I arrived at my brother's house by late afternoon. He was sitting on the step, stern face, but his eyes shining. "Brought the water," I said, "and I brought the request. Yesterday I spoke the wrong way. I was full of anger and empty of judgment. Forgive me." The silence grew heavy between us. The whistle blew far away, as if someone wanted to hear the answer. Leandro took a deep breath, stood up, and hugged me. The weight fell from my shoulders like a wet tarp. The next day, I drove again through the stone road. Sun, no one, only rock. The whistle came from afar, but it was 2 notes short, as if saying, "All right." I understood. When the whistle calls from above, it doesn't want your ear. It wants your debt paid.